Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are exploring an absolute powerhouse of a story that totally flips the script on your standard fantasy reincarnation plot. We're tracking a brutally overpowered MMA champion who gets thrust into a completely unforgiving fantasy world. This journey is packed with insane combat, genius-level strategy, and some incredibly satisfying revenge. I'm going to break down all the major plot twists, the intricate power systems, and the incredible character growth, so you can see exactly how a master fighter navigates a world of magic. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Our story kicks off with Kim Ji-ho. Picture this. He's a 45-year-old MMA legend. We're talking 17 title defenses and 0 losses. The guy is at the absolute peak of human physical capability. But right after he finally beats this impossibly hard VR game, boom, his apartment is struck by lightning. And when he opens his eyes, the real world is completely gone. He's been reincarnated as prisoner 218 in the Butcher's Prison, which is basically a notoriously inescapable hellhole. I mean, the jarring gap between his past and present is just massive. In his old life, Ji-ho literally had maxed out stats. But now, he's stuck in the body of a 15-year-old kid named Zed Arahan. And Zed isn't just any kid. He's the discarded youngest son of the continent's most cruel mage family. Because he was born with exactly 0 mana, which is considered an absolute disgrace, his own family literally threw him into this concentration camp to die and just be forgotten. And the physical reality of his new body is incredibly frustrating for a former MMA champ. Because his system class is technically registered as a mage, he gets hit with a massive physical debuff. His agility, his strength, his resistance, they are all permanently cut by 50%. So when he's forced to haul these heavy rocks out in the prison yard, this former world champion finds himself completely out of breath. It's a brilliant little handicap, really, because it forces our protagonist to rely on his mind just as much as his fists. But hey, Zed isn't totally helpless. When he checks his system UI, he discovers these absolutely broken hidden stats. He's got Immortal Duelist, S-rank Archmage, and, crucially, absolute suppression resistance. So when the prison's terrifying Director Clark, who is this mage-hitting 5-circle knight, unleashes a suffocating aura that drops literally every other prisoner to their knees, Zed, he just stands there. He's totally chilling, inside a mental immunity barrier, leaving Clark completely baffled. So, how do you actually escape an inescapable prison when you have 0 mana and a weak body? Well, you use your genius gamer IQ. Zed literally volunteers to be put on death row. Crazy, right? But here's why. On death row, you get a final meal request. He demands a birdie steak, which is an ultra-rare, incredibly expensive item from the game that actually restores lost stats. Once he eats it, his negative physical stats start clearing up. Meanwhile, Director Clark tries to torture Zed using a mana-draining bracelet, but because of Zed's immunity, it forces the bracelet to drain Clark's own energy instead. The Director literally passes out from exhaustion. And with the Director fast asleep, Zed and his new prison friend Ryu just kick down their cell bars and make a run for it. Of course, the guards try to intervene, but that's when Zed unleashes his real-world MMA combat IQ. Even in a nerfed body, the guy is basically untouchable. He's landing brutal heel kicks to the ribs, executing these insane Matrix-style dodges, and he absolutely decimates an entire armed squad using nothing but pure martial arts technique. Okay, so they've escaped. But now they're wanted fugitives with 0 money. How do you survive? Well, for a fighting addict like Zed, the answer is pretty obvious. You head straight to the underground arena. He enters the ring disguised as a street kid, popping in some blue contact lenses to hide his red Arahen eyes. And it doesn't take long before he goes head-to-head with this brutal local brawler dubbed Walmart Yujiro. After Zed easily wins that first fight, the corrupt arena owner, Herna, sets up a rigged rematch. She equips Walmart Yujiro with an ogre belt. This is a rare magical item that negates 90% of all incoming physical damage. She completely thinks this will guarantee Zed's defeat. But Zed? He just smiles. See, he normally has to hold back so he doesn't accidentally kill his opponents. So this ogre belt, it's the perfect excuse for him to finally unleash 100% of his physical strength. He relentlessly batters the brawler until that legendary belt completely shatters to pieces. But wow. This victory triggers a massive turning point. As Zed shatters the belt and defeats his opponent, his blue contact lens actually breaks, exposing his glowing, dreaded red Arahan eyes to the entire arena. The crowd instantly panics because everyone knows the Arahan family means death. But internally, something even more incredible is happening. The extreme physical exertion finally pushes his system over the edge. For the very first time, his mana ticks from a dead 0 to 1. Of course, his exposed identity brings on some massive trouble. Shortly after fleeing the arena, Zed and Ryu are ambushed in the forest by none other than Director Clark, along with Heatherna and a bunch of heavily armed guards. Clark is a 5-circle knight, he's heavily armored, and he is out for blood. He really thinks he has this talentless, discarded Arahan boy cornered. But what Clark doesn't know is that Zed's newly awakened mana, combined with his S-rank Archmage talent, unlocks something completely terrifying: the Reborn Thunder Transformation. This is a legendary lightning state that boosts all his stats and wraps him in impenetrable electric shield. So, Zed combines his high-speed, flawless MMA dodges with literal lightning magic. He completely overwhelms the 5-circle knight in close combat, totally shattering the known laws of this world, where mages are supposed to be weak at close range. Now, as Zed travels south to avoid the authorities, we really need to understand the deep lore of this world. There is an ancient, super intense rivalry between two major houses. On one side, you have Zed's family, the Arahants. They are secretive, cruel mages with red eyes. On the exact opposite side, you've got the Bahal family. They are blonde, honorable frontline knights who absolutely despise mages. And, naturally, Zed is heading straight into Bahal territory. While traversing the forest, Zed's camp is approached by Torres Bahal, the 17-year-old successor to the Bahal family. But out of nowhere, Torres is attacked by the Black Mirror. These are elite shadow assassins secretly loyal to the Arahan family, acting on their own to quote-unquote protect Zed. When Torres tries to fight back, he suffers a deadly mana blast slash. Zed, using his quick wit and taking on massive personal risk, actually forces the assassins to heal Torres, ultimately saving the life of his family's sworn enemy. Because Torres is a man of honor, he swears friendship to Zed for saving his life. Zed then travels with Torres' squad of knights to the southern front lines, and here, Zed completely shatters their stereotype of the cowardly mage. When they're ambushed by twin basilisk monsters, Zed reads the attack pattern, saves one of the knights, and then physically solos one of the massive beasts using his hand-to-hand lightning combat. In the process, he claims a rare item called Demon's Breath, which he really needs for a stat-boosting elixir he's been planning. But Zed isn't just out there fighting monsters. He made a promise to his friend. They managed to track Ryu's missing sister, Lisa, to a massive imperial slave market that is secretly backed by the Arahan family. Unbothered by the messy family politics, Zed teams up with Torres for a brutal raid. They wipe out the corrupt traders, free over 2,000 enslaved citizens, and in a deeply emotional moment, they successfully reunite Ryu with his sister. Well, word of Zed's exploits reaches the very top. He receives a sudden summons to the Bay Hall mansion. For an Arahan, just walking into the Bay Hall stronghold is basically a death sentence. He is brought before Fernando Bayhall, the family patriarch, and a terrifying 10th Circle swordmaster. Seriously, just his physical presence alone is enough to make a normal person stop breathing. The etiquette of the house strictly demands that a guest kneel before the swordmaster. But Zed, he delivers an absolute Chad moment. He stays standing firmly on his own 2 feet, thinking to himself, submitting to anyone's force is shameful. He knows that showing any cowardice here would just make Fernando lose all interest. Ironically, this bold refusal to bow to the pressure completely wins the old swordmaster's respect. And this leads to honestly one of the most incredible moments in the story. Torres takes Zed to see the Bahal family's legendary white horses. These are majestic creatures that independently choose their lifelong masters. While the Bahal knights stand around watching in total disdain, a massive prized white horse literally does a spin move right in front of Zed and bows to him. The horse, named Pearl, chooses the Arahan mage as its master, leaving all the Bahal knights entirely speechless. Well, the vice commander of the knights, squarehead Steve Phillip, just can't handle this humiliation. He challenges Zed to a quote-unquote friendly sparring session, fully expecting to beat the mana-deficient mage to an absolute pulp. But Zed just drops right into his MMA stance. When the 5th Circle Knight charges in, Zed effortlessly slips past his sword strikes and delivers a single, lightning-fast cannon punch straight to the stomach, knocking the knight out cold in 1 hit. So, with his standing finally secured, Zed focuses on combining that Demon's Breath he claimed earlier with some high-quality holy water so he can finish his stat-boosting elixir. He travels to Myers Cathedral but quickly realizes the priest there is running a totally fake water scam. When Zed tries to report this to the Imperial base, he discovers the local military, led by the corrupt General Pullman, is actually in on the scam too, and Zed gets arrested immediately. And this builds to a truly terrifying climax. Zed is thrown into a stinking underground dungeon. General Pullman strips off his own armor, fully intending to personally torture the 15-year-old boy to death just to keep the city's corruption a secret. The general arrogantly boasts that no one lasts 30 minutes under his hands. But the general has absolutely no idea who he just locked in the room with him. In a flash of high-speed movement, Zed grabs a knife, he unleashes those lightning combat skills, moving way faster than the eye can even track. In seconds, the tables turn entirely. Zed uses the general's own magical energy against him, instantly and brutally shredding the corrupt official before the man even realizes what hit him. Standing over the defeated, completely terrified general, Zed delivers this chillingly calm line that proves his absolute dominance. He says, "That's not torture, that's closer to a massage." It is such an epic testament to the decades of grueling training and pain Kim Ji-ho endured in his past life. This fantasy world's threats are literally nothing compared to the intense discipline of a world champion. And that is exactly where we leave our hero for now. He has defeated the corrupt general, but his elixir is still unfinished, and the shadows are quickly closing in. Word of his immense power and his new alliance with the Bahal family is definitely spreading. The question you should take away from this is, with his S-rank powers slowly unlocking, how is the cruel Arayahan family going to react when they realize their discarded trash is actually the most dangerous predator on the continent? What terrifying enemies are they going to send after Zed next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.